Hello, and welcome back to another AP Laser Workshop. I'm going to go ahead and start out by saying, if you haven't already, go ahead and click like below and subscribe to our channel so you get notified whenever we're getting ready to do these again. We are doing it weekly right now, but we will be taking a mild break. We will be taking a mild break over the holidays for obvious reasons. I personally am going on vacation. I'll be in Florida. Have to go down there and see some family and bring some stuff back. But anyways, getting right to it. Today we're going to cover just a couple, I'm going to say not your run-of-the-mill things that we're looking at lasering. We're going to do some watch bands. Specifically today we have some Apple Watch bands, but this will apply to whether it's a Fitbit band or some Samsung watch band or whatever other watch bands you have out there. This will work for those as well. And we're also going to do some denim today and kind of touch base on some fabric and some tips and tricks on doing that. We're going to touch base a little bit on file prep today. I do have Alicia assisting me today. Everybody say hi to Alicia. She actually did all the legwork and all the prep work and all the testing on this, on the materials for this shoot. So I told her, I said, hey, this is a perfect time to get you in here. And she thought she was just going to be assisting a little bit, but she doesn't know. I'm kind of throwing her under the bus. I'm going to make her do it all, if you know what I mean. Kind of. Not to mention do it all. Fun fact, that is the inspiration to our phone number of our 24/7 tech support. If you call the AB Laser tech support line, it's 844-364-8211, which when broken out will spell do it all, just the L's and all are ones. So that's where we got the inspiration for that. Because with AB Laser, we are limitless, and we are creating those priceless memories. Anyways, back to going into we're going to get right into the watch bands here. With the watch bands, we did do some prep work. The easiest thing we did was you take a picture of your watch band. So here's your Apple Watch or your Fitbit, whatever you're using. You take the watch band off, you take a picture of it, and then you file it, take a picture of it, and then you import it into Lightburn or your photo editing software. Probably put it on a white background is the easiest thing to do, because then you can just trace the outline of the band. You can do it in Lightburn or in Corel or Photoshop if you're a Photoshopper. You can trace the image, and then you'll have basically a template you can work with. Do you have a demonstration? If you can go to Alicia's computer on the laser there. And there we have the outline, which gives you a blank template to put in whatever design you would like. It's also going to allow you to set up for an engraving. We're not going to go into a lot of the design work here because this is vector art, or you can put bitmaps on here if you want as well. But I'm going to recommend using vector art on this, which is going to give you the nodes, and it's scalable, different designs. We have a couple of different designs to work with here. We already have one set up. Now, if you look at the screen, you'll see it's laid out, and what we did is we layered it so we can actually engrave onto poster board or any other material we have available the outline of the watch band, and then we can have a jig to set our watch band over top of, so then we can line it right up with the image we want. Another thing I did is I showed Alicia here, a little tip is I put a little square at the bottom left corner. Or you can put this in whichever corner you want to, depending on what you use for your starting point. Put a little square down there to make sure that is I'm going to call it my index mark. So when I line up the watch, if I move anything, I know that I can, as long as I line up my dot, my laser red dot on the bottom left corner of that square that's engraved, that's my starting point. And so when I turn that layer off, it's still going to recognize it for dimensions, but not engrave that. And then it's going to put my piece directly on top. So we're going to go ahead and what settings, Alicia, can you tell us what settings you landed on with this?
Yeah, so I kind of went with the basic starting settings for silicone. I did a couple tests, and what worked best for me was a speed of 25 and a power of 70. So it's not going too fast and shaking things, and it's burning just enough.
Thank you, Alicia. So we're going to go ahead, and we're using Lightburn right now. All this is also applies and already works. The only difference is obviously the trace lab is a little bit better in Lightburn. And I've said it each of my lives now, and I'm going to say it again. If you don't have Lightburn yet, it is well worth the investment. They are going to a subscription-based platform, but if you buy it now, you have it. If you don't continue to pay the subscription, you just don't get the updates. But you can make that decision each year if you decide to. But the initial investment, it's well worth it, and it does everything you need to right now. Does a lot more than Already Works does, and it's definitely worth the investment to go ahead and get Lightburn and just make things easier. You know, they say copy, paste, engrave, right? I'm going to say copy, paste, engrave, or copy, paste, and cut, because you can cut when you trace as well. So moving right into it, Alicia, can you go ahead and show us in the machine how you lined up? We've already done some legwork, so we didn't have to wait. So we already engraved the layer that has the outline of the watch band on it. Inside the machine on the poster board, could you hold the camera up just a little bit over top of that? Oh, so you see, there's an outline of our watch bands, and then there's a little index mark off to the bottom left there. So again, when we get our watch bands in here, we're going to go ahead and focus to our image, and then we can move the laser right to that outer corner, that bottom left corner of our index mark, which is where we're set up, so we know that we're lined up right where we need to be for the image to go on the watch band where we want it. We've already sent the image over to the laser. Oh, sorry, we're going to send it over to the laser right now.
There we go.
So, as usual, while we're going through this, there's going to be some time where the engraving is working, that we're going to have some time to answer some questions. Please feel free to ask any questions along the way. I will answer them the best of our ability. Where's everybody from that's with us today? I know we have a few people with us. Where's everybody from? Better yet, we're in Lansing, Michigan right now. Who thinks they're the furthest away from us, and where are you at? Yeah, let me give you a hand on one thing here. So again, now she's getting her focus. Go ahead. And we have turned on our fume extraction because whether it's silicone or whatever the composition is of your watch band, we want to make sure that we're doing things safe and using fume extraction exhaust system to make sure that we're not getting the unpleasants.
So it does help a little bit.
Evansville, Indiana. I think we talked about this before. There's a lot of sports tournaments down there. Baseball, softball. I don't have anything down there in Evansville this year, but next year we'll probably make it back down there for one of the big softball tournaments. I coach travel softball as well. A lot of fun, great experiences. So again, for those of you who maybe just joined us, we are engraving on an Apple Watch band right now, and there's gonna be another step we do after this. It's gonna be, some of you may have seen the shot we did earlier, or the promo of the shot. How to get black into it? We actually just use the paint on that. We're gonna use we're using acrylic paint for these, but it's really nice because it wipes on, and then you wipe it over, and it sticks into the engraving, but wipes off the rest of the band. Then, of course, you want to let it set up for a little bit. We haven't experimented with other paints, whether it be silicone-based or latex-based or anything like that. We haven't really experimented with that, but feel free to do that. As some of you may know, if you have a smartwatch, you can often get on Amazon and get a bag of watch bands for like $10, and you get a whole assortment of colors. And so play around with them. You know, if you do a watch band, you get a package of 10 or 12 of them for $10, and then you sell one of them for $10, $15. You've covered your cost. So play with them. Have some fun. Play with the laser and figure out what works best for you. And you can also use different color paints for contrasting colors. So if you want to use like a navy blue based watch band like I have on, you know, I'm going to do something with my Apple Watch. I'm going to put it here in the showroom. I haven't done anything with it yet, but that's the color I'm going to use. I'm going to use that color, and then I'm going to put probably a yellowish, I'm thinking more maybe a maize color, which represents University of Michigan for some of you who know. Go blue, Alicia says. That's right. Big games coming up. Anyway, so she's just pulling that out of the laser there. So you see, it only took a few minutes once we got the file prep set up. And here's the other great thing about this is if you find these bands, you get your template set up, you save the templates, then you can just move your designs in and out of the machine, or in and out of the design template and save it new. And then the hard part is just getting the template, and then you can do your different design work. So this is what it looks like before we've applied any paint to it. So in contrast, next to it are the ones after they've received paint.
Same design, but this one has been painted and this one hasn't. So you can still see the details in there, but I think the paint just really makes everything pop.
Yeah, and again, you can use different colors. Many of you who have worked with this paint know there are a ton of colors of acrylic paints. You can even get real creative and mix them to make your own color for those of you who play with color palettes. But I don't play with color palettes because I always have a vision of what looks good on paper and canvas, but I'm not good at putting it there. So that's why I have a laser. Just copy, paste, and engrave, right?
Yep.
So that's a watch band in short. And of course, if you have any questions on that, we'll always feel free to send an email to aplive@aplaser.com. I'm sorry, let me clarify that. Sorry, it's aplaserlive@aplaser.com. I apologize. aplaserlive@aplaser.com. If you have any follow-up questions after this live shoot that you think of, oh, I should have asked this question, shoot a question over to that email, and somebody from our live team will certainly answer it. on.
Oh, 1 second.
Okay, so we're getting a couple things changed over here because we're going to go ahead and do some of this denim. We're not going to miss a beat here. So before I get into it, I'll show you that I've set this up and I've already done some testing. Now, some of you asked what's the best way to test this. We can set up a speed and power grid, but what I have representing here, if you wanted to screenshot this, is what I use for this denim. On the right side, I have engraving when it was dry. I use a 25 speed and a 22 power using a 2-inch lens. And then I used a 25 speed with a 20 to 22 power with a 3-inch lens. Now, what I did with a 3-inch lens is, the benefit of the 3-inch lens is it allowed the material to be slightly, I didn't have to make it taut, okay? A lot of people, you'll see in some tutorials where people have taken magnets, high strength magnets, and tightened up the fabric and stretched it out so they can get a good focus with a 2-inch lens. If you have the lens kit with a 3-inch lens, which is available for all of our machines, then it gives you a little bit more flexibility to where you can engrave on this type of material with maybe slight waves and wrinkles, and it's going to keep a consistent engraving to it. Again, the 3-inch lenses gives you a little bit more range of a effective engravable range, focus range, but also gives you a little bit more larger dot, so it's a little more uniform engraving. But you know, if you're looking for extreme detail, it's not always the best lens to use. But for this application, I feel it's perfect. And on the left side, I sprayed it a little bit, misted it with water before I did the engraving. So you can see kind of the difference there. Without the water, it kind of gives it kind of depends on what look you're looking for. So maybe you like to do it dry and just give it that slightly distressed look, like in the top right corner. I still recommend using a 3-inch lens because I feel like those were the best results I was able to get was with that 3-inch lens. We're going to go ahead and put this in the machine so we can do a file. We're going to do a fairly elaborate one. Yep, we're going to work in tandem here. She's going to go ahead and start working on lowering the Z table so we can pull out that 2-inch lens and put the 3-inch lens in. So again, sorry if I'm not talking enough. Usually people don't like it when I don't talk too much. At least that's what my wife says. She said I talk too much.
There we go.
And so are we going to probably use a bottom center for this?
Yeah, I think the bottom center would be good, or we could do even just full center and try and get it as in the middle of this as we possibly can. So let's just go ahead and make sure everything is level here. Double check. It's 11 inches wide.
So we probably want to do this, what, probably 9 inches?
Yeah, I
Or
think
eight,
so.
maybe even 8 inches.
Yeah, we don't
Oh,
want it
okay,
to be
right.
too crazy large, I don't think. So back in my software here, I've got my image ready to go, just something I illustrated offhand and imported into Lightburn. And then we can go ahead and make sure your scale is locked and adjust that. Let's do 8 inches just to be safe. So we have that ready to go, and then I'm also going to go over to the origin and just make sure I'm going to set that to center, so we can get it as centered as possible on the back there. And then we can also go up to the speed and power, and our tests we decided that the speed of 25 and the power of 20 was what looked the best on our material. I will say I've tested a couple different denim materials, and it definitely varies from denim to denim. Everything's built a little differently. So I would recommend getting a piece of scrap or just doing a small test before you do your full project.
So now that I've found my origin, I went ahead and hit origin so I can move it off. Then I have here just regular H2O, scientifically known as H2O, but it's water. I'm gonna move the laser head and rail out of the way, and I'm just gonna kind of moisten the denim jacket. Make sure that we're gonna go ahead and do this at a 22 power, I think.
22, all right, so we can go back up to the speed and power, and then we'll go down to the max power, change that. We can change this back to 22 as well, just so it matches, and hit OK. And then I haven't sent it yet, so I gotta send it over real quick. That's always important. Make sure you've got the right file going in there.
And again, always frame it so you can recognize right away, oh, that's not right.
All right, and it's gonna take just a minute there. It is a pretty intricate file. All right, good to go. All right.
So what I just did is, because I have the buttons underneath here, alternatively I could have tried to open up the jacket and stretch it out, but that sometimes will cause some distortion in how our jeans laying out. But because I have the buttons on there, it's actually making that part a little bit higher. So what I'm doing is I'm finding a middle focal point, or I'm focusing it to what would be the middle of that high point and the low point, so it really balances out our engraving. And then once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to go and frame it one more time. Then I'm going to close the lid, push start. This is a great time to take some questions. Anybody have any questions out there? If you posted a question previously, if you could please repost it. I just noticed that I was disconnected from the chat for some reason, and YouTube reconnected me. I'm not sure if I missed anything while we were out there, or while I was disconnected. So the differences in the focal lenses, some of you may know, some of you may not know. There's a focal length where the beam is concentrated when it comes to the lens. The standard focal lens that is the most versatile is the 2-inch lens. You can do almost everything that you need to do with that 2-inch lens. But when it comes to uneven surfaces or even just some different materials, sometimes the 3-inch lens is better, or the 4-inch lens. What that does is that gives you, the 4-inch isn't the size of the lens, it references the focal point of the lens. More specifically, you know, they do it in millimeters, 101.6 and 75, or yeah, 76.2, and they do it in millimeters, but it's easier for us to say 4-inch, 3-inch, 2-inch, 1.5 inch. The 1.5 inch is going to be your really small, fine, detailed stuff, and then your 2-inch is going to do your kind of everyday engraving. We're going to do granite with. The material can be held tight or pulled tight, but in my testing, I haven't found it necessary to do so. You may find it different for your desired results or even the material you're using. Denim is a little bit heavier of a material, so it sets pretty firm. Or even when it's wet, it's even heavier. Some materials, you know, if you're using a really light material, I would definitely recommend getting some high power magnets to kind of stretch that out and hold that tight. Mike Franco asked, should the material be held tight or pulled tight? That's what I just answered. But again, every material is to be slightly different. The lenses, I was back in the lenses. What I found is, again, the 2-inch lens would do, you know, your granite, your woods, and stuff like that. If we get something uneven, we're going to want to go to a 3-inch or 4-inch lens. If it's just slightly uneven, the 3-inch lens works pretty well. But we have like a curved surface, like if we're doing the top of a rounded hope chest or something like that. Even a casket for those of you in the funeral industry. We do caskets quite frequently. We have, you know, some of the biggest suppliers out there, Matthews Aurora. They have a large amount of our machines just for doing customization engraving on. But we use a 4-inch lens for the large curved items like barrels and hope chests and stuff like that, because it allows us to do a curvature on the piece. The 3-inch lens is good for slighter variations. I also like to use a 3-inch lens on my acrylics. Usually, sometimes sometimes the 3-inch lens will cause a little more ghosting in the image. So, and again, it can vary whether you're using cast acrylic or extruded acrylic. So really, you just want to test both. You want to do a test pattern for all those materials, just to make sure you know that you're getting the results you want out of it. Test patterns. I've showed before, you can set up test patterns. So test patterns, you know, it's not going to be one test pattern for all materials. You're going to have test patterns for different materials, whether it's bamboo or acrylic or glass or Surmark metal, which we'll be doing Surmark metal probably sometime either in January or February. We're going to start doing some metal pieces using Surmark and some other stuff. Surmark has multiple applications, whether you use it for glass or even bricks. They have some doing some stuff on. So keep, you know, if you haven't already, click that subscribe button below. Right there. I feel like I have to point, even though below means the same thing in every language, or the translation below, it's down. Click that subscribe button. hit that subscribe button so you're notified of our lives when they're coming up. Sometimes we get busy, we forget. And you get a notification, oh no, he's going live. Make sure I jump on real quick. Do anyone who's watching now, do any of you have your favorite, a favorite material or product you like to do? Or is there something that you'd really like to see us do that you haven't seen yet? Just a little forecast while this is running right now. Next week, we're going to do some large scale engraving. We have a really large interior door over there, a glass paneled interior door that we're going to show how you can really open up the bottom of these things and you can do large items on them. Even if you have to do it in sections, we're going to show you how to do a little bit of that as well.
Project, so I'm very excited. Finally get to use that open architecture.
Baseball bats. I think I'm going to make that happen January or February, Mike. I like the baseball bats. It's just going to allow me to showcase the rotary. So you can rest assured that when I do the baseball or softball bats, that I'm going to make sure I'll probably have a few rotary pieces that we're doing, but we have our rotary tools, our new rotary tools we have a telescopic thing, so we can expand it and put a baseball bat and longer size items on it for easier articulation, or rotation, rather. So baseball bats, I like that idea. Shoot, I might just tie that into a whole sports themed live shoot. I'm either going to go rotary or sports themed. I might do sports themed because I can do rotary and other things all at the same time. And we know that there's a lot of interest in travel sports and sports products in general. So, is everybody ready for Christmas? How many of your family out there are going to be getting something engraved? I know mine's going to get everything engraved. It's just the way it works. I gave my mother-in-law that cutting board we did a couple weeks ago, and she said, "Oh, this is awesome." Oh, she was so happy and so emotional over it. But then after the tears were wiped away and everything like that, because she was so, so happy, she cried of happiness, she started giving me orders, not putting orders, but giving me orders that I had to do more for other family members. So I have recipe cards coming in, thick acrylic, like 2 or 3 inches thick. Do you mean to cut it? Jay Cleric says thick acrylic, like 2 or 3 inches thick. Cutting that thick of acrylic, not really going to happen on our machine. Let me explain to you why. Because when we look at a focal range, engrave photos. Okay, yes. Thick acrylic, like 2 or 3 inches thick, we can engrave photos. I will look into seeing if I can get the material. We just did some photo engraving on acrylic. I'm going to go ahead and I'll probably revisit that maybe in February or March on the photo engraving on acrylic. And I'm assuming you're still talking about engraving on the surface, because I know some people want us to try to do those 3D engraving they go into the blocks. Our laser is just not that type of laser. That requires a very specific type of laser that is kind of one application for that laser. You can find those pretty much all over the place. But our laser is not going to do that inside the acrylic. But I'll definitely set up and revisit doing photo engraving on acrylic without using any paint. I think that might be what we're getting at. Even if we do use paint, it kind of works the same way. We do it in reverse, and it comes through the back of it. So we will definitely revisit that, maybe February. I'll definitely say we'll do that. We'll revisit the photo engraving on acrylic, because I'm going to expand that to acrylic and glass probably in February. So we're just about done with this engraving here.
Maybe a little bit more. We're getting there.
Sometimes people always wonder, well, how can you get an idea on how long the engraving is going to take? If we come back to the computer over here on Lisa's computer, if you click up here on the TV, now RDWorks also has this. If you click on the preview button, it's going to show you the preview of what your image is going to look like. I also recommend looking at this every time before you even send it to the machine, because this is going to tell you if there's anything wrong with it or distorted on it. But it also will give you the total time estimated.
It's about 40 minutes. We've been going for about 11, 12 minutes, so it might be a little bit off there.
I think that's a little bit off now that we talk about it.
But still, it gives you that estimate so you can at least set that time aside, and you know that it's going to either take that time or less. I don't think I've ever had it go over, so you at least, you know, you have that pocket there, and if it gets done a little early, it gets done a little early. If nothing else, it's definitely a good way to see your design laid out, more so than this, especially if you're doing the vector instead of the image. It's going to show you it filled in rather than just the lines. It could be that I know I got prompted for an update this morning too, so it could just be that the times aren't accurate because I need to update my software. Yeah, I can grab some.
While this is running, we're going to go ahead and grab some of that black acrylic paint, because we're going to go ahead and quickly show you how we can do the white watch band, and we go ahead and show how we put a coat of paint on that. Now, as far as the denim, when you're engraving photos on it, if you do some looks, you can do all kinds of patterns, whether it's on blue jeans. You know, some people, I've had some people say, hey, jean jacket, turn in style. Well, look outside. They're coming back in style, because every generation is going to go through that jean jacket phase. But whether it's blue jeans and other stuff, you can put all kinds of designs, whether it's horses or sporting themed or logos. You can do all kinds of stuff.
I like to use the paint pen.
Paint pen?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hand me those paints real quick?
Yeah.
And the paint pen. So these are the paints specifically that we're using on these watch bands currently that we have tested. Just simple satin acrylic paint. And Alicia said she prefers to use a paint pen.
I think the paint pen just helps you if you just press it all in there, it gets it done quick, and you don't have to dirty a brush. It's a lot less cleanup to do, really simple, and gets the job done. And again, you don't have to paint these. They do engrave enough that you're gonna see the design in there, but I think the paint just helps the design pop out. And again, you can choose any color you'd like in there. I think the black just works with a lot of these lighter colors that we've got the examples on.
Here's a fun question for you. How many of you found out today that they make this in a paint pen?
Hey, I didn't know.
She just changed my life and she doesn't even know it.
looks like our jacket is finished up here.
I'm gonna go ahead and pull out the jacket. When I pull out the jacket, could you maybe demonstrate doing the painting on that?
Yeah. Let's see. So it's really simple. Basically all I like to do, you can lay a paper towel down beforehand, but I'm just got big thick marker, and you just kind of go all through the design. See if I can do it down here for you. And just press down so it gets in all of those cracks there. And my design's a little easier. It doesn't go completely edge to edge, so I'm not going to worry about getting the paint on anything below. But you just kind of cover that in, and you just let it sit for a while until it dries. And then if you take just like a wet wipe, or I used hand sanitizer, it gets everything off, but it sticks to the engraved part. So eventually it'll turn out like that, and everything else will come off, but it'll stick on the inside there.
So if you see here, here's the jean jacket. Now the engraving's a little bit hard to see right now because the water's still going to dry a little bit, and I can't really speed that up right now, but it will definitely look better once everything dries out. So
I think
we
it
can
turned
come back.
out pretty good for a test, though.
Right. And again, we go back to the results, and that's what I found was the speed and power. I probably should have stuck with my gut and stay with the 20 power, but that's what I tested best at. That's what happens when you go against your test, right?
Yep. Try and get things in focus.
So we are doing really good on time here. We do have a few minutes if anybody has any questions. I don't want to just sit here and just start randomly pulling things out and saying, hey, look at this, because it might not make sense right now with a short amount of time. But I'd really like to talk about things to do in the future. What can we do in the future? What do you want to see us do? Whether it be baseball bats or engraving photos on thick acrylic, or you know, we're going to have Valentine's Day coming up. Is there something you want to see for Valentine's Day? Is there something you want to see for, well, any holiday or any occasion, whether it be birthdays or anniversaries? If you can think of it and you want to see it, we can implement it somehow. Okay, we might work on doing some wood modeling. We might work on doing some stools. We can do stools. We can do, if you think about it, if you want to see it, let us know. Do you want to see something that's outside your box? Do you want to see a logging instruction on something? Typically, we work within the framework of an hour, but if we need to do a special session, we can plan for that accordingly, because some things you just can't cover in an hour. If you think of anything after this video, or you're watching it in review, or if you didn't watch this when we were live, you can send an email to aplaserlive@aplaser.com and give us your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, your wants, your needs. You know, if we start a tutorial session or series, what do you want to see out of it? What is it that is most important? What on it is most important to you right now? What is the most important thing to you to help us help you be successful with your laser? Whether it be rotary stuff, do you want to do tumblers? Do you want to do a vase? Do you want to do a bird bath? Do you want to do? We have some granite bird baths that will make your neighbors jealous. Or angry if you have an HOA. I don't know. I don't understand the HOA stuff. Or mad jealous because they don't have it. That's usually the way it works. I'm telling on my neighbor why, because I don't have it. Anyways, so again, if you come up with anything, if you want to think of anything, drop us an email at aplaserlive@aplaser.com. That's APLAZERLIVE at aplaser.com. And always, as usual, click that like and subscribe button on the video, and a software tutorial would help from a beginner perspective. I'm actually working on seeing about putting together a series like that. We do have some videos out there. That will help with that if you do a search on our YouTube channel. But certainly, if you want something specific from a beginner's perspective, because every beginner has a different need. I have beginners who are in the monument industry. I have beginners who are in the trophy industry. I have beginners who are in the widget industry. So if you tell me specifically what you want to see from a beginner, from what your need, what is it you're wanting to focus on right out of the gate, and I'll work on making catered beginner videos that are industry specific or material specific, process specific. I really enjoy making videos. I really enjoy doing tutorials, and I just want to make sure that I don't do just some random generic video that covers everything but doesn't really cover exactly what you need. I want to make sure that here at the AP Laser family that we're meeting those needs. So again, if you drop an email to aplaserlive@aplaser.com and let us know, hey, I want to know how to do this from beginning to end. Now, if you get into something like monuments, I'm going to tell you how to set up a file for monuments. I'm not going to tell you how to handle the monuments. I'm not going to do that. That's a whole other animal. So make sure it's something that you're already prepared to handle and not something that is going to require, lift trucks and stuff like that. So anyways, I will help you with the file prep and material prep and everything in that aspect. I really want to focus on glass soon. We're going to be able to do a little bit of that next week when we do our large format engraving on this door. This door is going to be something else. We'll post a picture of it later so you can kind of get you excited on what it's going on the door and what it's going to look like. We don't necessarily want to drag it over right now, but we can take the laser camera and point it that way, but it's too messy back there. But this is going to be a multi-layered process under the panes of glass.
Of that glass there, so you can see the kind of the multi-layering.
So this is really hard to see on a white background. So excuse my cables and my mess there. So this will give you kind of a preview of the type of files we'll be doing on this really massive scale door. Again, excuse the mess. We don't normally show this side. See that door over there? It's just waiting. Did you cut me off?
Yep. All right.
So again, make sure you join us next week because we are going to be doing that large format engraving on the glass door. If fire and police flags from JP images of department logo or patch. That one's going to be kind of important to me. My brother is a full-time firefighter for Orange County in Florida. That's the Orlando area for people who don't know. And he's probably asked for that for several times. So I'm going to have him send me his engine seal, his crest logo, and I'll probably use that to work with. If you want me to work with one of yours, send it to me, aplaserlive@aplaser.com, and I will see what we can do to work with that, and we'll give you a format from start to finish. Again, we can sit here and talk about the possibilities all day. I'm going to say it one more time. APLaser Live at aplaser.com. Send me your ideas, your questions, your suggestions, your comments, your wants, your desires, your dislikes. If you dislike my hair, tell me, dude, fix your hair. If you dislike how I talk, say, hey, we want to hear Alicia more because she's not as bad to listen to as you are. Whatever the case may be, send us those suggestions to that email box, and we will. All right, thank you all for joining us this time. I will see you next week, and then we'll do that large format glass door and some more exciting stuff. Thank you again, and as usual, click that like and subscribe button below, and we'll keep you informed and keep moving our workshops forward in a positive direction. Thank you all.